Hi everybody, it's Charles with an entry for the 8th of May 2014. It was a Thursday. Um, Basically, I'm not sure if you can tell, but I'm a little bit more groggy and disheveled, but I just woke up from, probably 3 or 4 hour nap, even though it's in the middle of the night. Um, Basically, this video is I'm gonna stick it to the topic of how much it sucks to just how much Wilson's disease sucks, and the fact that it just makes me more tired than I would normally feel. Um, Basically, that's pretty much, the extent of it. I mean, you know, basically, a lot of time, when a lot of people have Wilson's disease, you just get tired a lot quicker and you get tired a lot easier. And, for me, there are some days where I just stay groggy throughout the whole day. It's like I'm never fully awake. It's kind of like I'm always, half asleep. And to a lot of people, it either looks like, you're dead tired, at 2 p.m. when you should be wide awake, or it looks like, you're just not paying attention. I've got my head down. I'm not really listening to people when they talk to me. And it's not just because, I'm a dick or I was up late night partying. It's just that, I'm just absurdly tired for no reason. I mean, it sucks when I get, a good night's sleep and then freaking I'm still tired the next day. And unfortunately, there's nothing that I can do about it. I mean, unfortunately, sometimes it just fucking happens. Like, I mean, some people are like, oh, get more sleep. I get more sleep. I'm still tired. Some people who get less sleep. You're getting too much sleep. I get less sleep. I'm still tired. It's just like some days there's nothing I can do about it. I mean, some days, I feel on point and I feel like wide awake and I'm, feel ready to rumble. And, those days remind me of the old days before I got sick. But then there are just some days where I just can't, wake up, and I just, for whatever reason, I don't feel energetic. I don't feel good. And, a lot of times I'll feel decent when I wake up, but then it's like I'll go out and then I'll come home and I'll just be finished and I'll just be dead tired. And so it kind of sucks. And like some days you burn yourself out after like 2 hours, like walking around. And, I mean, it feels really shitty to have like a whole day prepped for yourself, and then like, you do half of your errands and you just can't do the rest because you're fucking bone tired. And, I mean, it feels kind of unfair. I mean, I know Wilson's disease it's an unfair disease in its own, like in the whole, as a whole, because you don't bring it on yourself. It's purely genetics. Like, you don't get it, like you're born with it. I mean, I'm not saying like if you get like, a sexually transmitted disease or something, that's something that you unfortunately got. Maybe you weren't being as safe and, in terms of, intercourse as you should have been or something like that, and then you got it. I mean, granted, a lot of times it's just, maybe somebody lied to you, or maybe somebody, said they were, protected and they weren't, or something like that. So I mean, I don't wish sexually transmitted diseases, and I don't say that people, deserve them if they get them. But I'm just saying that's something that you got. I mean, this is unfortunately something that I was born with. So it's not like, all the protection in the world could have prevented me from getting this. Which I mean is kind of it's kind of, it's, it it makes me feel better in the fact that I didn't do something stupid and get it. It's like, I didn't fucking, I wasn't a dumbass and, had intercourse with like some skanky girl, and all of a sudden fucking I've got Wilson's disease. So it's relieving in that way. It's not something stupid that I did that I got. So, it doesn't make me mad at any, like I'm mad. I'm kind of unfortunately mad at fate and mad that I've gotten it, but I'm not mad at fucking, Skanky Susie who lives on 56th Street or something like that, I'm not mad at that, you know. It's something that I was born with, unfortunately, and there was nothing I could have done to change it, no dumb decision by me, exercising more or, living a different lifestyle wouldn't have changed the fact that I have it. So it's a shitty turn of fate, but it's the way it is, and it makes it easier for me to deal with because, I'm not, like I said, I'm not mad at, specifics. It's just an overall world thing that I was, cursed with. But that being said, I mean, I've done a lot of reading on the internet, and there are a lot of people who, who have Wilson's disease and liver problems. I mean, maybe it's not Wilson's disease that's causing me to be tired. Maybe it's the cirrhosis of my liver that's causing me to be tired. So I'm not going to say that everybody that has Wilson's disease is going to be tired. I mean, just like everybody that has Wilson's disease does not have all of the neurological problems that a lot of people, a lot of, sufferers do. I'm thankful for that, and I think I'm an example of that, because I've still maintained a lot of my, my functions. I can still move around and stuff like that. I still have somewhat rational thoughts. I mean, I think my thoughts were probably, the same prior to when my symptoms came up. So I mean, some people might say, he's weird or whatever, yada yada. But that's all I think and do fun, and I think they realize that, I'm still capable of, deep thought and shit like that. But then, I mean, I'm sure there are people who, who will look at me and say, he's very different from before he got sick, and I don't think he'll ever be the same. And I would have to agree with that. I mean, in terms of like just in terms of this topic, in terms of my energy level, and in terms of the sleep that I require, and that shit. I mean, it's just fucking. It sucks. Like, before I'd push through things, and oh, you're a little tired, but you've got this essay to write, push through it, and go to class, turn it in, and then you can sleep afterwards. But now it just feels like sometimes it just feels like I'm unable to just push through it. And so, like I'll get home, from working a hard day. And before I would just, I'd sit around maybe for, a little while, and then I'd sit around for 3 or 4 hours, so it would be all right for me to go to sleep, and then I would go to sleep if I was tired. But now I'll get home from work, and I'll just be, sitting there just waiting for like my dinner to cook, and I'll just be, unable to stay awake. And then I'll have to, force down a quick dinner, and then, you just have to go to sleep. And then, of course, I've gone to sleep too early, so I'll wake up in like 3 or 4 hours, after a half a night's rest, and I'll just fuck up my schedule. And it just sucks because before it was just like, it was just like, it was easier to push through it because I never got really, you know, I mean, obviously you can get really, really tired if you, stay up really late, but it just feels like being tired now is a lot heavier on my shoulders, Before it was just like, you force your eyes to stay awake, maybe you give like a little tap on your face and you start to ungrogify yourself or whatever you want to call it. But now it feels like somebody's always kind of like leaning heavy on my shoulders or like, leaning heavy on my mind, and it's just hard to stay awake. I mean, granted, it's still probably, a lot of it is still probably, just straight discipline, like, fuck this, stay awake and shit like that. But it seems like, it's a lot, like you just said, it's a lot harder. And now it feels like it's starting to affect my thoughts a lot more. I'm not trying to say I have the neurological symptoms. I'm just saying, like before, it felt like your body was getting sluggish, maybe you weren't thinking as quickly. But now it feels like I'm getting a lot more like muddled. And there are some times where like sometimes I get headaches, whereas I wouldn't have before. I would just feel, tired. And it just feels like, it feels like everything is working against you to make you feel tired and make you have to go to sleep. Whereas before, I felt more spry, and I felt like, I could push back tired a little bit, and like I could push it back and just like, hey, I'm not ready to go to sleep. I got shit to do, and then fucking and then before it felt like tired was like this big guy that I was boxing with, and you could push him back, maybe throw a couple quick jabs, and then he'd be more cautious in trying to take you down, and he'd back up a little bit. Now it just feels like freaking tired is this like big fat dude like who just like envelopes you in like water and just like brings you down because he's so big and it's so overwhelming and fucking I mean, every day I try and fight against that fucking fat dude, and I try and fight against, but he's like water. He's like fucking a big thing of jello, and sometimes, it's overwhelming. I mean, some days I don't feel like I'll ever be able to overwhelm it, or I'll be able to, push it back. I mean, I understand that fucking, Wilson's is an everyday fight, and a lot of people, I've read on the internet that people like you have to build yourself back up, strength in what you thought like was, being strong before doesn't really apply to Wilson's because now it feels like, your body kind of works against you in a way. I mean, obviously my body's doing whatever the fuck it can to deal with Wilson's disease and a shittier liver. So I'm not fucking heated at my body. But I mean, it just like from what you think tired is, it's no longer like what normal people think tired is. When you have what I have, tired is not what normal people think tired is. You know, same with going to the bathroom. You think going to the bathroom is just, oh, I have to pee. I drank too much water. For me, it's like, too much salt, especially through the pills. It's like too much salt I have to eliminate from my body. I have to drink more water to get rid of salt. I have to drink less water. I have to take a number two. Oh, it's fucking, I'm taking too many number twos. I'm not taking enough of my medicine now. So fucking, I'm having diarrhea again. And it's just, there's like, I never knew that fucking waste systems on your body required so much maintenance if they weren't working right. Like, I understood that, prior to getting sick, I had seen like this TV show. I'm not 100% sure, but it might have been one of those I shouldn't have been alive on like Discovery channels or something like that. And this guy got some absolutely fucking like brutal like malaria diarrhea in like an Amazon rainforest or something. And the dude lost like 30 pounds in like freaking like 36 hours or something like that. And just that must have been like some brutal like diarrhea and like sweats, and like that must have been like one of the worst situations that you can feel and you can go through in freaking 36 hours. And so I'm starting to understand a lot more, and that just when your waste system fucks up, it really can fuck up. Like when people say like, oh, I went in the bathroom and I shit my guts out, that sometimes that feels like I've done that. And sometimes diarrhea can feel that fucking bad. I mean, for normal people, people that aren't sick, they have, they get food poisoning and it's, a week on the toilet. Or fucking, oh my God, I shouldn't have eaten that, bus stop sandwich. Oh, I've got to go, I got diarrhea now, I got to go crap it out. But then afterwards, they take some Pepto-Bismol and they're fucking fine. I mean, for me, I had, somewhat of maybe a 60% case of that, but I had that, steady for a while. And granted, I should have gone to the hospital, and that was stupid on my part, and I'm not denying that. But I just thought that was the way my stomach was. You know what I'm saying? I thought that I had an absurdly fast metabolism because it wasn't straight diarrhea. Diarrhea is aggressive and it's rough and it's extremely liquid. Mine was just soft stool, and it happened. It happened like a normal dump, but it happened, pretty quickly after I had eaten. So eventually it got to, people who know me know that eventually it got too much to bear and I was losing too much weight. But so I mean, it wasn't like that extreme amount, and so I didn't know that I didn't know that my system was fucking up or was fucked up. I thought my system was just abnormal in the sense that I was just different because of the way my body was set up and my genetics were. I mean, granted, it was due to my genetics, but I thought that my body was abnormal, but it was still in the realm of normalcy, if you know what I'm trying to say. Like if there's a graph of how much and how quickly people have to go to the bathroom, like unsick people have to go to the bathroom. I thought that I was pretty high on the graph in terms that I was going a lot more than normal, but I thought that I was still on the graph of like non-sick people. But no, it turned out that I was definitely on the graph of sick people, and unfortunately, that's the way it played out for me. And I mean, it was if I hadn't have waited so long, it would have turned out better for me. And I mean, that's something that I deal with, and that's something that I'm upset about myself with because fucking I thought I was stronger than I you know not that it's just when you're younger you think you're more like invincible, and it's a little bit of an arrogance game, like nothing gonna stop me. But I mean, you feel it's kind of when you feel energized and you feel like you're able to do like big shit and you're able to go hard at a lot of things. It's very tough to say like I've got bounds of energy and I'm fucking I'm doing absurdly well and I've got a lot of physical strength and stamina. It's hard to just like holy shit though, but I'm pooping a lot, let me go to the fucking hospital. So that was pretty much my case. Like it never really started to affect me until the symptoms really showed. Like I still had lots of energy. I was still, not to toot my own horn, but I was still able to show up a lot of people in terms of physical stamina and strength and energy. So it's just like, how could I be sick and how could I be, in rough shape when, all these people are fucking, they're fine. And I'm able to show them up in terms of how much energy and how much, stamina I have and how much I can, do. It was very hard for me to take a back seat and just like look at myself and just like, dude, you can do all that shit, but you're fucking going to the bathroom way too much and it looks like you're losing a lot of weight. So you should go to the hospital. And finally, fucking, I didn't listen to that and I wasn't able to see it because I think I got too wrapped up in my day to day, just trying to make as much money as possible, just trying to fucking or just trying to, graduate school, get as much money as possible afterwards, maybe looking at graduate school, trying to accomplish as much as possible, excuse me, just trying to be, as good as I can be. And I didn't take that step back. And I just didn't, it didn't occur to me. And unfortunately, I'm paying for it right now. I mean, I'm not the type of dude that, obviously, I wish I had gone earlier, but I'm not really the type of dude to fucking, to lament on the fact that I didn't. I mean, like I just said, if wishes, what is that, if wishes were horses, I'd have a barn full or something like that, or if wishes were nickels, I'd be rich or fucking, obviously, I wish I had gone to the hospital, but it turns out I didn't. Like again, I mean, I've mentioned this a lot of times before, the McDonald's scenario, where, if you cry, I'm never going to McDonald's. So fucking, getting heated at myself and fucking, calling myself stupid isn't going to change the fact that I didn't go earlier. And I mean, who's to say how much it would have really changed it if I had gone in? Plus the fact that maybe, symptoms didn't really appear to be, to be that bad initially. So unless I was just like, check me over for fucking everything, maybe they wouldn't have found Wilson's disease. Maybe they just would have given me some Imodium and been like, take this. And then I wouldn't have noticed Wilson's disease if I was taking the Imodium every day. Then fucking maybe one of the major symptoms wouldn't have appeared. And then maybe it would have been the neurological symptoms that they had initially seen that fucking, So it's hard to it's hard to say, how it would have turned out had fucking, things gone a little bit differently. So, I mean, I'm thankful to be alive, obviously. It's just this fucking tired shit's got me a little heated at the moment. Not at the moment, I mean in general. I mean, before I was thinking about, like, oh, I'll fucking, maybe I'll try 2 jobs. I've got the energy for it, or maybe I'll go back to school. I'll tell my boss that I can only work fucking, nights, or I can only work mornings, and then the other time I'll go to school or some shit like that. But now it's just like, I don't think I have the capability, at least not right now. I don't think I have the capability to really dive into something like a night school or something like a second job. I mean, a lot of people at Walgreens do it, and I'm envious. I'm like, you get this whole other area that you get to experience this whole other, I mean, I'm not going to say that work is fun, but I mean, it's exciting in the sense that, you get to do new things. You get to experience more. Whereas me, I work at one job and then I have to go home and sit around for a while and then, or maybe even go to sleep and sleep those extra, you get, I don't know, maybe, let's say, maybe 6 extra hours of working per night, whereas I have to go home and I have to take 4 of those hours and I have to sleep extra. And it just sucks, dude. And it especially sucks when I get that extra sleep and then I wake up with a headache. And it's just like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I got that sleep. I didn't fucking, I didn't force myself to stay awake. Why do I have a headache? And it's just my body being a bitch, it's struggling to survive. And it sucks, dude. It sucks because now I'm not sure if grad school is still on the table for me. I mean, I've saved up money and I'd like to be able to use it for maybe grad school, maybe get a better job. And it's just like, now it's become an energy and a time thing. And that fucking sucks. Because, your friends can do it. You know, everybody who, was, everybody who's not sick can do it. You know, a lot of people, it's one thing if you're not, maybe, you're not smart enough for it. Maybe, you can't get through it. You can't pass it. I mean, that's something that you have to accept, but that's something, in which, in my case, it would just be like, at least I had given it a shot, at least I admit my full potential. But now it feels like my potential is being stunted in the fact that I don't have the energy for it because it was unfairly taken away. Granted, I could probably quit my job, and then go to grad school and then just do my best to make it through on my savings or fucking, mooch off of everybody I know. But I don't really want to do that. I mean, I don't want to eat through my savings completely. Um, I mean, granted, if I was sure to get a job with my grad school degree, it would be a wise investment in myself. But I mean, grad school is still iffy. You spend a lot more, thousands of dollars on a special, grad school degree, and then people still don't want to hire you, and that fucking sucks, especially in this job market. But yeah, I mean, tonight's just one of those days where I went out with friends, and then I came home and I was just feeling excessively tired, and so I went to sleep. And now it's like 5:30 in the morning, and I'm up. I'm probably going to be up for 3, 4 hours, and I'll get something to eat, and then eating is also a big thing for me because it does affect my energy levels a lot more than I would normally if I wasn't sick. But like I said, I'll eat something and then putz around for a while, and then I'll go back to sleep, and then I'll sleep the rest of the time, and then I'll wake up when I normally do. But yeah, I mean, I'll just go on a quick sidetrack. Eating is also big for me because now it feels like before you would just get really, really hungry, and then if you didn't, or before I would get really, really hungry, and then if I didn't eat, I would start to feel really like I wouldn't have energy and stuff like that, and then I'd eat something. But now, if I don't eat, I'll get really hungry like quicker, and then my stomach starts to hurt. I feel nauseous. you know, I feel like maybe I'll get diarrhea or gassy and just I'll go to the bathroom and just like very little or just straight water will come out. And it just fucking sucks, dude. But I mean, usually eating, I can control that because obviously it's good that I eat. I mean, granted, you know, maybe one day I'll do a video, but some days it feels like, you know, everything is fucking bad for me. You know, I'll have fucking water and like white rice, and then next thing I know, I have a headache, or my stomach is upset or something like that. And it's just like, dude, what else could I like? What more fucking pure could I eat? Like, unless I'm just straight fucking somehow eating air. Like, it just feels like, you know, it feels like food. Food is a killer. You know, no matter what it is when you have Wilson's disease. And I think that, in essence, a lot of what it is, you know, you take the pills are required, you know, for you to take in order to survive. You know, that's because every food has at least trace amounts of copper. And, you know, you do require copper to survive. You know, like even I require copper to survive. But when I have too much, I can't eliminate it. Like when I have too much, I can't get rid of it. So if I were to go off my medicine, every meal would probably kill me. Because, you know, maybe 4 bites has enough that I can work through or something like that. But, you know, maybe 5 bites doesn't. So there would be no way that I could tell that. So every meal would, in essence, you know, put one more nail in my coffin if I went off my medicine. So that's why I require the the chelating or chelating thing or whatever, however you pronounce it, that, you know, pulls the copper out of my body and allows me to pee it away. If I stop taking that, like I said, you know, it's one more nail in my coffin. So obviously I'm intelligent and I do take that shit. You know, I understand that fact that without that shit, you know, it's not one of those ones where it's just like, you know, fucking, like it's not like some weight loss drug where it's like, I'll fucking take it tomorrow. You know, that makes me feel bad. I don't want to take it. You know, it probably does make me feel bad, but it also fucking saves my life. So I'm not gonna fucking play that game with that shit, you know. Because I understand that fucking shit is life or death. You know, I just read this post on the internet that this dude was very, very fucking lackluster about it, you know, and he fucking didn't make a big deal of it. And he wasn't like 100% on his medicine, and now he's like the neurological symptoms have started to show, and fucking now I wish I fucking, you know, I wasn't a douchebag about it. And I'm just like, dude, that fucking sucks. But you should have fucking, if you had listened to, if you had read the posts on the internet, you would have seen fucking people just like, yo, this is fucking killing me slowly. People just like, yo, fucking, my cousin can barely walk now, yada yada, and all like the horror stories. And you just like, dude, I gotta take this fucking medicine. And I mean, you know, obviously that's, you know, a second level of the mistake, you know, that I made, whereas I saw my symptoms, or whereas, you know, I saw small symptoms and I didn't get them taken care of efficiently. But dude went to the hospital and people actually legit told him what he had and then he disregarded it. That's kind of, I think that's in a different league of stupid than what I did. I mean, if people were like, yo, you got Wilson's disease, and then I looked up that shit on Wikipedia and I like, or I looked it up in the library and then I saw exactly what it was, I don't think I just like, fuck it, you know, like, it ain't that big of a deal. I mean, as soon as they told me what it was, I was like, this shit's fucking big, you know. I mean, granted, I had been, you know, feeling like I was gonna fucking die for a while, but we'll get into that fucking maybe in a different video. I mean, I didn't think I would just fucking, you know, keel over in the subway on my way home. But fucking, I was starting to get nervous that, you know, they would never find out what it was and I would just fucking waste away. Or I would get some kind of fucking like infection and then I would, you know, just slip into a coma. I would get too weak or something. But yeah, I mean, like I've been talking about fucking, you know, getting too tired. It may seem very basic to you and, you know, it may seem very just, oh, fucking, you require more sleep. I mean, it is kind of basic. You know, you're sick, you need more rest. But imagine that throughout your whole fucking life, you know? Imagine all the shit that I'm gonna miss because I need those, you know, even, let's say, even extra fucking 2, 3 hours of sleeping. you know, a day. We'll average it out to that. I'm not saying that's what it's going to average out to. But let's just say, what do I miss from those we'll even call it 2 hours of sleep extra that I require? You know, that is what? It's 14 extra hours of sleep I require per week. So, you know, what am I missing in those 14 hours? You know, maybe it's something as, you know, small as, you know, some TV shows or fucking just, you know, or maybe it's something that, you know, hanging out with, you know, friends or family, or maybe it's something that, you know, maybe writing a novel or something that I would like to do, or maybe like fucking maybe it's just something surfing the internet, but maybe, you know, I would learn something in those 2 hours every night. You know, so it sucks that the opportunities and the potential that I am losing because I am excessively tired. I mean, that's not to say about the opportunities and, you know, how it's affecting me when I'm tired throughout the whole day. We'll put that on the back burner, but we'll think about that in a bit. But this is just those 2 hours of extra sleep that I require a night, and that fucking shit sucks. I mean, because that's my whole life, you know. And who's to say it's not going to get worse? I mean, God, I hope it gets better. But fucking, you know, apparently God saw fit to give me, you know, Wilson's disease. So fucking, you know, so I don't know. I mean, I understand that, you know, people want a God that, you know, helps them out. You know, dude, if you can just help me win the lottery, like I'll be your best bud forever. Like fucking, you know, just fucking, you know, just make Susie not pregnant, dude. We'll be tight for fucking, you know, for the rest of my life or something like that. So it's just like, I understand that he or she, I mean, like, I think I've stated, like, I'll get into this in a different fucking video, but, you know, I don't think, if there is a God, I don't think he or she or it or whatever has, you know, that tight a fist on the reins. I mean, granted, I feel like I want to be mad at, you know, I want to be mad at God because I got Wilson's disease, because there's nobody else to be mad at. You know, I can't just go outside and just fucking yell at the ground and just, I hate you, Earth. Like, or I hate you, life. Like, why did you fucking give me this, or something like that. So it's easy. It's easy for when people go through, you know, very tragic situations like the murder of a loved one, or fucking, you know, a huge natural disaster that kills, you know, somebody that they love, or something like that. That they can be, you know, just mad at God because it seems like God has cursed them. You know, because God is supposedly the one that is fully in charge of life. But I mean, I'll get into that in a different video. You know. I mean, if you know me, you probably already know my thoughts on religion and God, but, you know, I'll talk about it in a different video. But like I've said, dude, fucking excessive tiredness, it just sucks. You know, it's wasted potential. You know, people like, dude, let's go out tonight. And I'm just like, dude, I fucking can't. And then they're just like, dude, you fucking slept all day last night and you didn't work today. And I'm just like, I know, but I can't do it. And then it's just like, you miss out on so many different, you know, opportunities. You know, like I said, I would like to have a second job, but I can't do it now. And I would like to go to grad school, but I don't think I can do that shit either. And so, you know, there's so many missed opportunities. You know, there's just a lot of shit that, you know, I thought I would be able to do that now I'm not sure I can do. And it's very, you know, it's heartbreaking in a way. You know, I think it's heartbreaking if people look at me and they see that, you know, he's a smart guy. Like, why isn't he going to more school? Like, why isn't he making more of himself? And then fucking, it's just like, you know, he's sick. He fucking can't do it. And then that fucking people, oh, and then, that fucking sympathy, but I'm not really, you know, I can't really do anything about it, sympathy. Like, you know, like fucking kind of like, you know, like, oh, his little brother got sick and, you know, passed away. It's just like, oh, you know, that makes me see him in a different light, but obviously, you know, I can't change what happened, and, you know, I can't really make him feel better about the situation. And that's pretty much what, you know, the only sympathy that is really available to me. I mean, obviously, I'm thankful when people feel sympathy, and I've gone over this in different videos, but, you know, you know, it sucks because, you know, people are just like, oh, and then they're like, hey, I'm going to go to grad school. It's just like, you know, I don't want to be, it's very easy for me to be glossed over as much as I don't want to be. I don't want to be, you know, one of those old people who really hasn't, you know, accomplished as much as he could have, you know, because I don't want to waste my potential. But it seems like, you know, a lot of my potential is being forcibly wasted because I can't, you know, I can't do as much as I want. But I mean, I'm sure you get the gist of this now, and you know, like I said, you know, sympathy is good, but this is just me fucking venting, and this is just me, you know, being kind of upset and being, you know, a little mopey about it this morning when I woke up because I didn't, you know, sleep through the whole night and it fucking, you know, whatever. I guess I gotta fucking make peace with it, and, you know. Anyways, thanks for listening, and I'll see you tonight.